Alright, let's talk about Oblivion one last time. I just burped. Okay. Yes, the movie from 2013, well over a decade ago, starring Tom Cruise. This movie came out between Gravity and Interstellar. Wild. And this movie got that weird love-hate relationship, even though this movie had amazing visuals, an epic movie soundtrack by M83, and Tom Cruise doing his thing like driving a motorcycle. People still found this to be pretty derivative and shallow. So what's the deal? Well, that's why I'm here. We're going to be talking about why this movie is so hated on. So let's get into it. Okay, so Oblivion, yonkers. So when Oblivion first came out in 2013, it got mixed reviews to say the least. Critics gave it a whopping 53%, and the audience seemed to agree, giving it a 61%. Not a total flop, but not great either.
That's impossible.
And the box office numbers kind of tell the same story when it made $286 million worldwide, even though that sounds great. But when it has a $120 million production budget and a $50 to $70 million marketing campaign, they got a lot riding on this movie. Okay, so let's get into the marketing aspect of it, because I think that is where like the core issue sits. When people look at it and be like, whoa, this trailer looks awesome, I want to go see this.
A mind-blowing epic. Unlike anything you've ever seen.
And then all of a sudden you're like, what is this? That is actually where the audience really fell short when they went to go sit in that movie theater and be like, oh my goodness, this is what I'm gonna experience. But then Universal really manipulated the audience by heavily relying on Tom Cruise's star power. And in the trailers, I mean, they show the action, the mystery, and the amazing visuals. And so they built this movie up to be a huge sci-fi blockbuster. But when you sit down and look at that massive screen and realize, holy cow, I'm an hour and a half into this 2-hour movie, the audience kind of starts to, well, hate on it. One of the biggest complaints people had about Oblivion was that it felt familiar, like really familiar. You've got the mysterious dystopian setting, the big twist about nature of reality, but these have already all been done before in other movies, like The Matrix, Moon, and 2001 Space Odyssey. So it's a gorgeous homage to classic sci-fi, but people felt it leaned a little too hard on that homage part. And another thing that people talk about is the characters of the movie, rightfully so. I mean, Tom Cruise does an okay job as Jack Harper, but he's not really breaking any new ground here. And Andrea Riseborough as Victoria, nothing against the actress, I swear, but her character is extremely underdeveloped, which is also why I only talked about her for like 10 seconds in my last video. I think if the director and, the scriptwriters and all that took the time to really develop the dynamic between the two of them, they could have had something really interesting, but they didn't, and, well, that's where the audience really fell short. Okay, and then there's the pacing. It's slow. It's like really slow in some places. But some people actually loved the deliberate, almost meditative vibe, while others just outright found it boring. And while the sleek visuals are undeniably stunning, some critics just found it a bit sterile. All style, but not enough substance. The part that Oblivion really fails at is just not delivering what it advertised. On the trailers, they show action scenes, huge, vast landscapes. I mean, yeah, it's there. But when you put it all together, you have audience members expecting one thing and then they get another. Sci-fi fans would have probably expected a deeper, more philosophical film, while action fans would have expected gravitas, explosions, and, well, a lot less existential pondering. The movie really tries to balance on this fine line of blockbuster and thoughtful sci-fi, and it just doesn't always nail the balance. So speaking of balance, here's the thing. Oblivion isn't all that bad. I mean, it's got a lot going for it. First of all, the cinematography by Claudia Miranda, absolutely stunning. The wide shots of barren landscapes and futuristic tech, beautiful. And then you have the soundtrack by M83. I mean, they add so much atmosphere and emotion to the movie, it genuinely helps it boost it from like a 5.6 to like a 7.89. I swear, like people could genuinely just watch it for the music, just like they could watch Interstellar for the music. The music is genuinely really, really good. And M83, I mean, they make songs and they pop out a beautiful soundtrack for, I think, an underrated sci-fi flick. Pretty damn good job. And let's not overlook the themes in the movie. Oblivion tackles some pretty big ideas that we discussed in our other 2 videos, such as memory, identity, survival. Sure, it's not as deep as it always wants to be, but it's trying to be a little bit more than that, and you gotta respect its ambition. It's not out here to be just a popcorn flick. So why did Oblivion struggle so much? Honestly, it might have just been timing, because 2010s were the golden era of sci-fi movies. I mean, you have Gravity starring Sandra Bullock, George Clooney, a CGI masterpiece that comes out, takes over the box office, becomes an ultimate juggernaut.
What do I do?
And then 1 year later, you have Christopher Nolan's magnum opus of a sci-fi flick, Interstellar.
Cooper, what are you doing?
Docking.
I mean, that movie took the big ideas in space thing to another level. Oblivion had to compete with all of that. And simply, it just didn't stand out. So does Oblivion deserve all the hate? Probably not. It's not perfect, sure, but it's not the disaster that everyone makes it out to be. It's a visually stunning, ambitious sci-fi film that just needed a little more heart or a little less hype. Either way, it's deserving of a second look. Is Oblivion an underrated gem or just another unforgettable blockbuster? Leave it down in the comments below. And hey, if you enjoyed this, make sure you like, subscribe, and stay tuned for some more breakdowns on movies that deserve a second look. This has been Oblivion, the 3-parter, the deep diver, the back-to-back, whatever you want to call it. We're going to be done with this here. We're going to leave it in the past now. I really do hope you guys enjoyed this. It means a lot. I worked so hard on it. And we're going to be working on the next series. And it is a series. That's going to be your big little hint. So, big little hint. That's a weird oxymoron. Onomatopoeia. Jerusalem. Adios.